Good morning, brothers and sisters. And brothers and sisters online, good morning. Today, Dr. Ho will take us to look at the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 2. Very happy to see some brothers and sisters coming back during the public holiday. I welcome you. May God give us a really great breakfast by His words. Before that, we have seen some of the New Testament letters, 1 John, 2 John, and 3 John. And we have seen the Psalm as well. And today, then we enter into the histories and its detailed description. And we had the appetite, and now we also had salad. Now we need to come back for the main dish. The words of God is not boring at all. And we can taste different kind of dishes. It's filled with nutrition. And when we read the scriptures, we are filled with joy. Today, when we read the book of 2 Samuel chapter 2, the topic is simply David enter into the destiny of a king. So this is the topic. By entering into the destiny, there will be a lot of struggles and difficulties. But David grabbed hold of the opportunity. Then he entered into the destiny where God anointed him as king. So this event happened after the death of Saul. And also the sons of Saul died in the battlefield. They are supposed to take up the kingship from Saul. So you can see that the house of Saul is almost like empty. And even the whole house of Israel, we can see the emptiness. It seems that there is no king ruling over them. And this is the situation at that time. So how about David? Does he need to grab hold of this opportunity? God has already anointed him as king. Is it this moment of time? No, this is never simple for him. We know David is from the tribe of Judah. When David was in the cave of Adullam, he once called the needy, the poor people, and the homeless. It started with 400 people and then extended to 600 people. Then we can see someone called Surua. He's not the main character in this story, but he had 3 sons. And these 3 sons are mightily used by David as his warrior. Who is Surua? Or is David's sister? We know that David has brought under his covering all his family, households, all the relatives. This is never easy to do. God's choosing is very special. Sometimes God has chosen the smaller one, not the bigger one. What is the reason? So is it easy for your elder sister come under you and with David covering her? David has many brothers as well. And they also have to follow David while he's chasing. He's trying to escape for life. But during this process, as David has to come together with the whole family, with the family members, the relatives, there are a lot of confrontations. And the brothers and sisters might think, oh, how about this little brother? Is he having the leadership to lead us, to support us? Is he able to take care of himself? But how about us, the family members, and including the father's household? So we cannot see all these details in the scriptures. Until today, we could see Surua, or I should say the three sons of Surua came up. And Joab became the commander of David's camp. He also had other brothers, Abishai and Asahel, in verse 18. So these are not the brothers of David, but they are the sons of David's sister. They followed David into the battlefield. Are they obeying or submitting to David? We can see the relationship between David and Joab. Now, Joab is a helper to David, but it seems that there are a lot of hidden things inside their heart. Many hidden stories. And they have not dealt with some matters. But David still mightily used Joab. Not only that, he is the elder son of his sister. Joab is a great fighting man and someone trustworthy. And he became the commander of David. And we saw his name in this chapter. And also there is a strong man, Abner, who is the commander of Saul. Joab represents David in facing him. Now, let's enter into the scriptures now. And we can see there are a lot of complication in their relationship. For Abner, who is the commander of Saul. So we can see that Saul's whole army is all defeated in the battlefield. But how come this Abner is still here? And he went back to his village and set up kingship there. So David cannot talk to Ishbosheth. You can see that Ishbosheth is almost like the remnant of Saul's house. And in between them, Abner becomes the obstruction between David and Saul's men. Abner is the commander in the northern kingdom. But in this moment, David grabbed hold of the opportunity. It seems that the whole of Israel is empty. Judah supposed to be protected by David. Like that, they are being well protected by David, as in the past. So for Judah, they are being chased after by Amalekites. As David has been bringing along his family, relatives, and all his men, they live in the village, protecting them. And David becomes a great warrior protecting them. It seems that everyone is under David's protection. So people can see the influential power of David. But it doesn't mean that he's king. So this is about some political issues. Like he needs to have the power in order to have the influential power. And also we have to see whether the people can accept his leadership. That's why David inquired of God. He inquired the Lord. Verse 1, shall I go up to one of the towns of Judah? It seems very simple with this sentence. It means, where should I go to be made king? In order to be welcomed by the people of Israel, and I can take over the cities. Is it this time? The Lord said, go up. In fact, the Lord affirmed David doing this. So which city should David go to exercise his influential power? And the Lord said, go to Hebron. Hebron is the place where Abraham and his ancestors were buried. When Caleb entered into the land of Israel, and this is the place where God has given the territory to the house of Caleb. We know among the 12 spies, only Joshua and Caleb can enter into Canaan. Joshua came from Ephraim in the north. Caleb came from the south, from Judah. And his city is Hebron. And also, when the 12 Levite cities being divided among them, Hebron is one of the city for the Levites. Aaron's family, they also live in Hebron. Hebron is the city for the priests. It is the most suitable place for David to rule as king. He has influential power. And also the priests are also living in that city. This is the city of priests. So David brought along his two wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. They all went up there to Hebron. They settled in Hebron and its towns. So this Jezreel is in Judah. Jezreel is one of the cities in Judah. So Carmel here is not the same as Mount Carmel in the northern area. So the two wives of David, they are the Jews. And these two cities are also the city of the Jews. That's why when he went to Hebron, he's being welcomed. The whole household, they are Jews. Where is David coming from? It's from the city of Bethlehem. Who is David's ancestor? Who is the wealthy man in Bethlehem is Boaz. Oh, they are really wealthy. But when they started all over again, they didn't start in Bethlehem, but they started in Hebron. Because this is the city of priests. So they settled in this city. Verse 4. Then the men of Judah came to Hebron, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. It's not the house of Israel, but only the house of Judah in the southern part, the southern tribe. We can see that David is trying to rule over as king, but his power is in the southern part only. But how about the northern part? So we further look into this. I talk about Jabesh Gilead, the men of Jabesh Gilead. They've been walking a long way. And over the long night, they brought back Saul's corpse and buried him. And that city is called Jabesh Gilead. Somebody told David about this. Verse 5, David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and thanked them for burying Saul. And he said, May the Lord bless you for showing this kindness to Saul. So the Jabesh Gilead, the people there buried Saul. They never thought that David will show them kindness. But when David saw what they have done, so whatever good things we do, we don't need to tell people around us. We don't need to expect to receive award from others. But for those who know, who learn from us, will know about this. And when the opportune time comes, then we will receive reward for the good things we've done. Verse 6, May the Lord now show you kindness and faithfulness. And I too will show you the same favor, because you have done this. The men of Jabesh Gilead, they are from the northern part. Then we can see how David showed kindness to people. So he went to comfort and also to award the people in the northern part. Verse 7, Now then, be strong and brave. For Saul your master is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. So what's the meaning of be strong and brave? David has a thought. You are now under my covering and protection. David not only ruled as king in Judah, he has to gather the people in the northern cities. It seems that things are going on smoothly. However, when we come to verse 8, that is our second paragraph. There is a big obstruction. Talk about Abner, this commander of the northern cities. So I want to conclude verse 1 to 7. So it's the kindness shown by David when he was made king in the house of Judah. So he started to call the people in the northern cities. Verse 8 to 32. So it's talk about the army in the north and in the south. They met in the battlefield. The two armies, they met in battlefields. So they almost have exploded this internal war. So we can see that David, from reigning as king in Judah or to becoming the king of Israel, there is a process. And during this process, he has to show his kindness more. So to be a king with kindness and mercy. But on the other hand, he has to overcome some problems. Verse 8 to 32. It's totally not about kindness and mercy. is a bloodshed event. Oh, this bloodshed was caused by the young people. And Abner saw that the northern cities been defeated. Or we can say the Philistines has already conquered some of the northern tribes. What is Abner going to do? So Abner has to bring the descendants and the followers of Saul to Mahanaim, that is the eastern Jordan. So the Jordan is divided into like the east and the west. And for eastern Jordan, there are 3 tribes: Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. That's East Jordan. They are in the East Jordan. But how about West Jordan? It's the other 7.5 tribes, including Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Naphtali, Asher. So all these tribes. And while they are fighting with the Philistines, many of these cities being conquered. So what happened after the war, we don't know. It could be a lot of difficulties. Abner brought along his army, crossed the river, and go to East Jordan. They came upon Mahanaim, and they settled down there temporarily as their capital. And he brought along Ishbosheth, who is the son of Saul. Abner set him up as king to rule over East Jordan. So including Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. It's not all the 10 tribes are under his ruling. And there are some tribes they have been conquered by the Philistines. So they moved their capital. Just like China in the battle. So moving from the west to the east, like in the Song dynasty. The moving of the capital. So they set up the capital not in the middle of China, but is alongside China. But now in Israel, they set up the capital in Mahanaim. Okay, I will not go into details. Verse 10 and 11. So both of them, Ishbosheth and David, had been king over a number of years. Verse 12, Abner, son of Ner, together with the men of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, left Mahanaim and went to Gibeon. They went to Gibeon. Gibeon is like empty without any king ruling them. Originally, this is the place where the Israelites ruled over them. It is Saul's place, Saul's area. But Saul died in a battle. And his ancestors moved to East Jordan. But how about West Jordan? Now, Abner brought along his men, went to Gibeon. This place means empty. So Abner together brought his army to this place. Verse 13, Joab, son of Surua, and David's men went out and met them at the pool of Gibeon. So So both the northern and the southern army, they came together. So both armies came to this place and tried to exert their influential power to capture this place. So this place is after the war. So they want to take over this place. Do you still remember Gibeon? The Gibeonites cheated Joshua, saying that, oh, we came from afar, we want to make a covenant with you. That's why I said the Gibeon, they are the cheater. So Joshua made a covenant with them and they become the Canaanite and they can still survive there. And then another important battle happened in Gibeon. That is, Joshua fought against the Ammonites and asking the sun to stand still in heaven. This is the event taking place in Gibeon. Then we ask, why the Israelite army and also the army from the southern part also came to this place? Perhaps the Philistines, who had once captured this place, has already left. They have not met with the Philistine armies there. Now it seems that the northern and the southern army met each other. They met each other alongside the pool of Gibeon. So one group sat down on one side of the pool and one group on the other side. What should they do? They are the soldiers. They wanted to capture Gibeon. So they want to be the master of Israel. What should they do? Should they fight the internal battle? At that time, Abner suggested in verse 14, let's start with a game. Okay, let's have some of the young men get up and fight hand to hand in front of us. So send your able men from each side and fight each other. Okay, let us not start an overall war or just a representative war. And then decide which side win. Who is the winner and who is the loser. And Joab said, yes, let them do it. All right, let them do it. So they counted off the men and started the fighting. Verse 16. Then each man grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his dagger into his opponent's side. So they fight again so close with each other. So when one side fell, the other side will send another man, a soldier, up. And then when another side fell, they did the same, vice versa. And then we come to verse 30. The Benjamin and other Israelites, for those following Abner, 360 men died. But only like a small number of people, 19 of David's men were found missing. And a few hundred men died from both sides. And you can imagine when the Israelites being killed and then they send the men from Benjamin and then they do it vice versa. And 360 people died. And we see that Benjamin is a merciful tribe. So in the time of Judges, the Benjamin tribe is almost perished. So when Saul was king, the Benjamites followed Saul to fight the battles. After the death of Saul, then Abner brought along his army together with the Benjamites, including their family and relatives. They fought the battle together. And 360 men died. In fact, this internal battle should be able to come under control. However, we see that they lost control. That's why a few hundred men died over that day. Verse 16, we see the place called Helkath Hasurim. So only when you know Hebrews, you know the meaning of these words. Hasurim refers to the side of the body. So this is a bloodshed battlefield. So you can see that this is the war of the side. Because each one of them, they thrust into the opponent's side. Verse 17, the battle that day was very fierce, and Abner and the men of Israel were defeated by David's men. And we know that the army of Israel, they have fought many battles. They have many experience. David's army also has experience fighting against the Amalekites. But as compared with the northern army, they are even more victorious. Why? Because the northern army, they've been defeated. Apart from Abner, the strong commander has been capturing the northern part. In fact, the people there, they have almost all of them been defeated by the Philistines. But for the southern part, the southern army, the army of Judah, they are victorious because they have fought against and win over the war of the Amalekites. But when they met in Gibeon, in this place, they have to decide which party should conquer this place. The battle was fierce, shedding many blood, especially the youth. And these armies, they are all in the flesh. So they're not spiritual at all. And we can see David showing kindness to the men of Jabesh Gilead. So what a big contrast as compared to what David was doing at that time, showing kindness to these people. So it's a big contrast between what his commanders are doing. So this is the war in the flesh. And what David's doing is showing kindness to the people. No matter what, David has to enter into his destiny because God has already anointed him as king. And one day, David has to reign over the whole house of Israel. Verse 18 to 24. And talk about the three sons of Surua, especially mention Asahel. Asahel was as fleet-footed as a wild gazelle. He chased Abner. So he didn't let go of him, continued to pursue after him. Verse 20, Abner looked behind him and asked, if you really want to receive the reward and prove that you are mighty, you better take on one of the young men and strip him of his weapons instead of chasing after me. You can see that Asahel has found this object, he ran really quick to an extent that then the outcome is that Abner killed Asahel. And then the other soldier of Judah came. Can you see the timing? And we can see that Asahel really ran so quick. In verse 23, towards the end, every man, Asahel fell there and died on the spot. And every man stopped when he came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died. Everyone just stopped there, came to a stop. Originally, Asahel was chasing after Abner. So he was waiting for the soldier to come up to support him. But he ran so quickly that he died at the end. And when the soldier came, he was already killed by Abner. Then Abner said to him, "Why are you chasing me? Why should I struck you down? How could I look your brother Joab in the face?" This is not what Abner wanted to do. But verse 23, but Asahel refused to give up the pursuit. So Abner thrust the butt of his spear into Asahel's stomach. You know which part of the spear? So it's the head of the spear. It is very sharp. So in order to have the spear on the ground, standing on the ground, so will you let the sharp point of the spear stand on ground? No, you won't do that, because the point will not be sharpened. And when we know that this iron spear is a very long stick, so at the bottom of the spear, and there is some iron thing, so that we can just put the spear on the ground, upright on the ground. This is what we call the butt of his spear. That is the bottom part of the spear. Asahel never gave up pursuing Abner. Abner is not using the sharp point of the spear to thrust into Asahel, but he used the butt, the bottom of his spear, into Asahel's stomach. And the spear came out through his back. And then he fell there and died on the spot. What do we see here? Do you know that this young man, they are in the flesh. Asahel is also in his flesh. Of course, Abner is not a good guy. It's not someone where we can discuss with him. But Abner tried to persuade Asahel not to chase him. But why Asahel did that? Because Asahel has to prove himself that I can run so quick, to prove that he has the power. That's why he died under the spear. And when the other people came, they stood there. And they wonder why it was like that. Verse 24, Joab and Abishai continued to pursue Abner. And it came to a hill in Gibeon. And verse 25, then the men of Benjamin rallied behind Abner, and they formed themselves into a group and took their stand on top of a hill. Abner called out to Joab, "Must the sword devour forever? Don't you realize that this will end in bitterness? How long before you order your men to stop purchasing their brothers? We could see that they lost direction in this game. Many Israelites died. Abner's being pursued. It seems that everyone is out of their mind. They are filled with flesh. Their heart is filled with revenge. But Abner said one thing. Are we not brothers? When will you let go? Not pursue after your brothers? Verse 27, Joab answered, as surely as God lives, if you had not spoken, the men would have continued the pursuit of their brothers until morning. So everyone is trying to shoulder off the responsibilities. And they just pinpoint on each other. Because you said you want to play this game first. So they try to, at the beginning, minimize the size of this battle. Just call 12 men from each side to fight. But the battle was getting so fierce, and everyone came in the flesh, and they fought, and they had with a lot of bloodshed. They have already forgotten that they were brothers. And eventually, in verse 28, Joab blew the trumpet, and all the men came to a halt. They no longer pursued Israel, nor did they fight anymore. They let go of each other. All that night, Abner and his men marched through the Arabah, and they came back to Mahanaim, and marched through Arabah the whole night. Arabah is the valley of Jordan. So by passing through the Jordan Valley, they went to Mahanaim. And then Joab returned from pursuing Abner. So both sides, they've gone through the night. And when the sun set, they came back to Hebron. And David wasn't there during this incident. David was made king in Hebron. And Joab, together with his brothers, they went to the northern part to spy out. Abner also brought the Israelite army across the Jordan, and they went to Gibeon to spy out the land as well. But these two armies met. So this is the story for today. It's so difficult for David to be made king, to rule over its king. So in front of him is not only the 10 tribes in northern kingdom. And before these 10 tribes, there is the commander called Abner. And he set up the son of Saul as king. David cannot talk with Ishbosheth to talk with him. And these two armies met in battlefield. When we say walk into the destiny of God, do you know about your destiny? You must grab hold of the opportunity to do the godly things. We have to avoid the fleshly things. Do not be in such a hurry. If God wants you to wait, you continue to wait for His timing. Do not make any decisions that is not godly. Do not do anything in the flesh, because God's timing will surely come. When His time hasn't come yet, focus your eyes to do things that show kindness and faithfulness, and to do the godly things. I have a brother. who's in charge of the warehouse, he had a lot of difficulties. When he received this job, he gave thanks to God. But as time goes on, it's not what he expected. Then I asked his brother, have you thought of that one day you will be the officer or the manager of this warehouse? Why would I think about this? In his eyes, in this brother's eyes, the leader, the supervisor of the warehouse is not doing well. And this makes many people leave the company. And even this brother wants to leave. And encourage this brother. As long as you stay there, you know the people in the warehouse will change. Because even the supervisor will leave. So think about this. If you were the supervisor, how would you put things together? How are you going to make changes to streamline the process? How are you going to handle the people's problem? Now what you see is those negative things. So if you pray and let positive things happen, how would you inquire of God? When many people leave the company, are you going to leave as well? But why do you give thanks to God when you first came? Now, it seems that you can see the will of God to bring you here. When everyone is in the flesh, when everyone is in difficulties, and even you want to leave, why do you have to give thanks to God when you first came? Because you can see the heart of God in you. You think it's God bring you here. So you have to guard your position. Pray for your supervisor. Pray for the whole warehouse. So one day, maybe people will leave one by one. And when you are being promoted as the supervisor of the warehouse, how are you going to handle this place? Let's pray for God to help us. Now, David already anointed him as king. This will surely be accomplished, but the way will have a lot of obstruction and a lot of difficulties before him. Let us not make decisions out of our flesh. So we have to do more to show goodness and kindness to others. Let's pray for God that we can grab hold of the opportune time. This is what Samuel said to Saul. You have to grab hold of the opportunity while God is with you.